Thank you very much for joining me on this Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to get right to it, that surge of dust. If you joined me in a video late last week, this is exactly what I was talking about. I really like to look ahead to give you the heads up on this channel on kind of what's going to go on throughout the Caribbean. So you see here, again, here's the Caribbean. I know this map's a little crazy. I'm going to dive into more maps in a second, but you see that bluish and even greenish shading there. That's some of the dust that has moved into the eastern central Caribbean and even starting to edge toward the western Caribbean with some strong winds. You see a lot of that dust coming off of Africa. This blob is not as thick as we'd get during the hurricane season, but nonetheless pressing across right now. So here's what's going on. This is a different map. So here's Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, my friends in Jamaica right there. And you see this shading here, that kind of tan shading all the way through Trinidad and Tobago, Aruba, Curaçao, Bonaire. That's where we have the dust. So right on cue, we're expecting to see more today, and that's what we have together. Again, that dust that has worked in, not for all of us, but again, that surge of dust, of course, more over toward Africa. And a lot of times it doesn't really make it across, but some good news overall by the time we get into tomorrow. Although the dust can be good in the sense that it does help out other environmental conditions. It all kind of plays a factor, but for air quality, not so good. And by tomorrow, we're going to start to lose that dust pretty quickly. So today, dealing with that dust, tomorrow, things are going to be improving. So air quality issues for today, watching the dusty conditions, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and The Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, we even have some dust, northern Venezuela, northern Colombia, watching Aruba, Curaçao, Bonaire, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, kind of on the edge of it. It's mainly St. Lucia, Barbados, south, where we have some of those lower air quality issues. So if you do have some breathing issues, again, they could be a little bit worse for today. So thinking of you with that. And here's one of the reasons why. This purple shading in the central Caribbean, some stronger winds coming in out of the east. So really kicking that dust around. We've had that due easterly flow for days and days, and it's picked up. That's why it's able to go out there, grab some of that dust and kind of shift it into our direction. Now look at here. Look at the difference in the winds right here. That's the front I was talking about in yesterday's video. So seeing those winds out of the north. But getting to that front now, that front, as I mentioned yesterday, it's not necessarily going to drive in for all of us. It's mainly going to be just to the north. So parts of Cuba getting a northerly breeze, keeping an eye on anywhere from the Yucatan of Mexico back through Belize for some of the winds out of the north. So a little northerly flow here, but again, still that easterly flow out ahead of it by the time we get into tomorrow. So that front is not going to press through for all of us this go around. I'll keep an eye on another front, though, back to the west that may dive down a little bit more so. So Trinidad and Tobago, lower air quality issues, just taking a few different spots. Still a chance of a couple passing showers, but again, watching the dust. Let me know in the comments what kind of dust you have. It shouldn't be quite as bad as sometimes we get, of course, in the summer. Nonetheless, I do want to hear from you. Let me know what's going on. Aruba, same thing. Tracking the dust today, mainly dry in Aruba. It'll be breezy, and that's the wind that reaches out, grabs that dust, drives it into our direction. Winds east at 48 kilometers an hour. Now, here's the front that I mentioned right here in the Gulf of Mexico. Look at this big comma shape right here. That's the front that doesn't get all the way through for us. So, of course, we're going to stay on the warm to hot side for many of us. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S., British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis. This front isn't going to nudge in toward Anguilla, but you see it here, again, the tail end of it working its way back through the Gulf of Mexico right now, but the bulk of it, most of it, staying up to the north. So we get a look at what's going on. Here's that front, some severe weather. I'll get to that. Look at the snow with this. But as I mentioned yesterday, the main energy with this front is way up here. And that's why it's all connected to what's going on. It's all connected to what we have. That's why the front doesn't punch through. If this were to be more like here, that would give us more energy, more of a chance that the front would dive into the Caribbean. But look at all the kind of watches, warnings, and advisory with this. High wind threat. Could see some damaging winds from North Florida up through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina throughout the day with an isolated tornado risk as well. with that front. But again, the energy lifting up to the north, away from the Gulf, away from the Caribbean, and that's why the front's not going to move in. And you see it here. This is our tropical model, showing you some of the rain as we get back here, back into the Gulf of Mexico. This is with the front kind of staying at bay there. Spotty showers, hit or miss. St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda today may get a passing shower, as I mentioned. St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana and Suriname, not as much today. Few showers, but again, not widespread. But there's that front. Now, tomorrow, to give you that heads up on what's next, Mexico, so over toward Cancun, Belize, even Roatan as you get toward Honduras, you see a better chance of rain. So as the front kind of washes out, Western Cuba as well, and some scattered showers through the Bahamas. This is the front falling apart, but you see Belize, for example, over toward Ladyville, Orange Walk, will get a better chance of some rain tomorrow for our Thursday forecast. So I'm going to break that down further, of course, in tomorrow's video, but giving you the heads up on that. So dusty skies will get better tomorrow. Watching that severe weather threat, tornado threat, parts of the United States, that front staying mainly north. Now, as I mentioned, there's another one that's going to build back behind it in the Gulf of Mexico. That one will be a little bit more to the south, so that'll give us a slightly better chance. We'll get some cooling winds for some of us late weekend to the weekend. I'll also be breaking that down further in tomorrow's video. And again, watching the lower air quality, especially the southern Caribbean with the dust. So thank you for subscribing, being part of this weather community. It is for you. That's why I do it. And I hope you have a great day ahead.